Hello everyone and welcome to my first episode of this small series about Pokemon that are strong but bad. And I'm going to start with somewhat of a fan favorite in Rhyperior. When it was released back in Gen 4, you might remember or heard about that people were claiming this Pokemon will be good for generations, top OU tier mon. However, it was bad. However, do you know why people claimed that at the time? It's not just because it's a better Rhydon, and Rhydon was always decent. Up to even in Gen 3 it was decent. Let's see. See, it's a no human in Gen 3. I mean, yeah, but you get the point. So going back to the new generation, everyone thought that a better version of it would obviously be OU. However, when you look at its ability, look at it says. At the time, the game was only released in Japan, so we didn't have full information. So when we saw this, we believed that it would make it take half damage from super effective attacks. In other words, Rhyperior would only be weak to grass and water, and regular weak. So imagine this all neutral, this weak, and having these good resistances. Now, with these stats and that, obviously it was going to be a very strong mon. However, sadly, Solid Rock only reduced by 25%, and that's why it's a bad mon overall. Now, here's how I would fix it into making it somewhat of a good Pokemon. First off, its stats. Its BST, as you can see right here, it's huge. 535 for a regular mon. It's quite a lot. At best, I can only increase it by 5, but I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. So I'm just going to take out 10 from its special attack and give 10 to its special defense. Now you can say 65 special defense. It's rather low, right? Like, can he actually tank special attacks with that low special defense? And the truth is, actually can. When you look at other staples that have similar effects to this one, we can easily go and see. I should have brought this up earlier. My bad. First off, we have Archulodon. When we look at its stats, 65 special defense, 90 HP, and it could tank special defenses it's well with investment, assault vest, and stuff like that. And it will still be a staple in OU if you didn't have a broken move like Electroshock. But that's what sent it over the edge. If not for that, it will be a very good mon, you still. And another one, now this one fell off a little bit with the times, but it used to be amazing. Conkeldurr, and you look at its stats, 105 HP, 115, 65 special defense. And Conkeldurr used to run an assault vest set in Gen 5 and 6 OU and do pretty well with. However, it did have Drain Punch to heal itself up, something that Raiden doesn't have. So yeah, that's the only stat changes that I will do to him. Now, if Game Freak wasn't such a coward, they would actually buff Solid Rock to do what we thought he would do. Half the damage of super effective hits. Now, Filter I don't think it should have changed it because Mega Aggron. When you look at the Solid Rock mons, what do you have? Camerupt, which is rather mediocre. And if you ever use it nowadays, it will be for the Mega. And Caracosta. And when we take a small look at Caracosta, let's go to water types. No, it's not in this generation. Let's see. It's here, Caracosta. It has solid rock. However, its stats are 495, and its speed it's very slow for a shell smasher. And its attack is not huge. It's high, but it's not huge. So even with solid rock, I still don't think this mon will be anything special. It mainly benefit Rhydon by quite a lot. This still has some glaring weakness, but yeah, it will only have weakness to grass. But Rapier will benefit quite a lot because you need to remember it's here. Just because these types no longer deal double damage, they still give it a super effective input, which means that they all still activate weakness policy. So it's a buff in the buff itself, the double buff, double small buff, which will be amazing for him. Solid rock. This would actually be an amazing resistance, like fire, flying is amazing to resist. Electric immunity is good. Poison resistance is mediocre overall. Normal resistance isn't as useful as it once was, and rock resistance is always decent. Always. Obviously, these three types are always the best types to resist, but I mean, you can't get everything, okay? Resisting fire and flying is already a huge boom because those are types that not many things resisted, especially steel types. Steel type resists one but not the other, so having those both at the same time is very good, especially when you don't get a glaring weakness, because the problem with rock types, they tend to have glaring weaknesses, but with this, it will not have glaring weaknesses. Now, the only things that Rhyperior needs after these two one small, one huge buff, obviously are the move pool. Now, Rhyperior's move pool, as you can see, is quite big and deep. However, however, it still lacks a couple of moves that I think will improve it greatly. And one of the moves that it lacks doesn't exist, obviously, and it's a rock type move that is reliable. Same way that ice type got Ice Spinner in Gen 9. I think rock type should get a somewhat similar move in Gen 10. Doesn't mean that it has to remove terrain or something like that. It can have a completely different effect that it's minuscule, that nobody really cares about. But just having that reliable rock move in combination with Earthquake can make a huge difference. Very, very huge difference, especially because he also has High Horsepower. I think it's an egg move. Or maybe now it's a, yeah, now it's a TR move. I think it used to be an egg move or something like that. Doesn't matter now. Now, it could give him Headlong Rush, but I don't think it fits, so not really. Now, there's only one more move that it needs, obviously. I mean, even if he doesn't get it, it will already be good, even without that move. Now, obviously, the move I'm talking about is clearly Accel Rock. Just that move, alone, without anything special. You combine this move, Earthquake, a new rock type move, and then you can give it Protect for doubles. Or a coverage move, Thunder, Ice, Punch, Temple Flare, anything like that really, because Rhyperior can just do whatever else he wants. Avalanche if you're feeling spicy. Mega Horn, I mean, I don't really like it, but you can give it if your team is very weak against psychic types. These moves are just worthless on him. But yeah, with these three buffs, you know, one obviously is huge, while the rest are small and can reasonably happen. It will become a very good one. I mean, it doesn't mean that it will be a staple in OU, that it will completely overshadow a Great Tusk or anything, but with these simple moves, it will at least be completely viable. You could always use a Rhyperior and do well with him, especially because it only will have two weaknesses, a lot of resistances, and a lot of firepower. I mean, 140 attack, even uninvested, is huge. Just look at here. Uninvested, he already has 300 and something. So yeah, it's amazing. It'll be a beast no matter what. In doubles, it'll be even better because it could go into Trick Room with all of these things, and he still operate outside of Trick Room due to Accel Rock and stuff. So if you could still, like, let's say, give it Rock Slide, I Horsepower, Accel Rock, Protect in doubles, with Weakness Policy on a Trick Room team, and go from there. You know, or you could give it an Assault Vest if you want to have a Trick Room as a niche option on your team, and still use Rhyperior as a regular mon overall. And with all of that, I think is exactly what Rhyperior needs in order to be good. I hope you enjoyed me babbling about it, and have a nice day.